all the general public out there, I am Poonam Behura and I'm going to read out an excerpt from a book recently completed by my father. The novel actually goes by the name Life in a Crossfire, and now I'm going to read out the excerpt. I hope you like it. Please bear with me. The small patch of land beside the river, lying between Nayapari and Sonpur, was turned into a place of mass cremation, which was proving to be woefully small to cater to the large rites of so many bodies. Cries of distraught families rent the air. 3 to 4 bodies were boxed in one funeral pyre for what of space and wood. Local authorities, tasked with somehow disposing of the bodies, paid scant attention to the pleas of the relatives of the deceased to provide at least the minimal privilege of one pyre to each body. The flames licking at the bodies and sputtering of bones burning in the fire was the theme visual being played in all news channels. The scene rewound to relatives despairingly rushing patients to the primary health center, fighting with one another to get the already overworked doctors to attend his or her case first. Most of the patients had turned pale blue by the time their turn came to be looked after by the doctors, and these cases were dealt with no more than a cursory checkup followed with the stamping of label declared brought dead. Mumtaj, Tarun, Neelam and some of their friends were seen working shoulder to shoulder with local officials, helping kins carry their patients, bringing urgent cases to the notice of doctors and providing disconsolate relatives with counseling. It was time for stock taking. In the jumble of vigorous discussions and finger pointing in national and regional news channels, truth was waiting for its turn to at least find a mention, in vain. Reportage of the event remained at a superficial level, relying on statistics of numbers dead, critically ill, and of few lucky ones to have survived the tragedy. Too many people dying of what seemed like traces of some fatal substances found in their system didn't apparently strike the wise newsmen as abnormal, making them close their eyes to possibilities of any foul play involved. But Hindustan News struck a discordant note, with its lead reporter Chinmoy getting people from bereaved families to voice their suspicion of foul play and a strong resentment against other media houses looking to play it down. Chinmoy reported, "This horrible tragedy striking the twin hamlets has taken a toll of 160 lives so far, with still not insignificant numbers fighting for their lives. Now, I will try to get some reactions from members of victims' families. Time is not right though. But the scale of the tragedy clearly forbids us from any equivocation on truth." The camera shot shifted to victims' families. They all recounted the suspicion of poisonous substances in victims' bodies. White foams forming in their mouths and bodies turning pale blue, clearly establishing the suspicion as truth. Chinmay found Shankar outside his house, staring into the space and looking lost. He stood there scratching his head for a few seconds, trying hard to find a reply to the stock questions of Chinmay, clearly aware of the cruel reality of loss and void that has left nothing worth saying, or worth keeping mum, or worth doing anything at all. Still he managed to say, "I love my son. He never got to know it because I kept up a facade of strictness with him to make him go straight from his wayward behavior. He drifted away from me." His voice choked. Chinmay gave him the space of silence to pour out remnant emotions in him. He resumed speaking. "I never imagined he would drift so far out, never to come back again." He broke down. Karthik came from behind and held his hand. Amidst so many lost lives, one death that was starkly quiet and not mourned over was that of Pankhuti Mausi, whose lone widowed life was not so much lonely as it was domineering and express-like. By the time she was discovered by Mumtaj's team, sleeping peacefully in her hut, she was already past bothering with requirement of breathing. Chinmay got hold of Mumtaj and her team members during a break from the round-the-clock duty of helping out the distressed and asked, Well, since you all are directly involved at all stages, starting from arranging transportation of victims to the hospital, to getting doctors to provide prompt treatment, to helping our victims, families in the last rituals too, you must have a first-hand sense of exactly what went wrong. I mean, so many people of two neighboring villages falling sick at the same time can't be a mere case of coincidence. To be direct, who are those responsible for the terrible tragedy? Mumtaz spoke out. The whole world knows how the poor people's lives are being played with and by whom. Unfortunately, the grief of tragedy of this scale has not angered the common man enough to break free from the scare syndrome and speak up. Chinmay persisted. Our viewers would like to know whose hands have wreaked havoc in villagers' lives. I believe this region is not an island inhabited by people indifferent to all forms of injustice and barbarism, and run by a legal system whose arms of justice go limp or are not long enough to catch up with the powerful. Mumtaz replied, it is the nexus of politics of Netaji and vested interest groups that has brought the situation to such a sorry pass. Granting of license to open toddy manufacturing shop to Tanveer is a small part of self-perpetuating collaboration between politics and commerce. Unfortunately, the poor people, hungry for small little pleasures, have paid for the greed of higher ups with their lives. So this is the end of the excerpt, and I hope you like it. All the publishers who are interested in this book can contact my father through the number 9937631223. The name of my father is Arjun Charan Behura, and the name of the book is Life in a Crossfire. Thank you.